Hey guys, Frightener22 here, back with a new segment on the channel entitled Hot Topics. And within this new segment, I'd like to talk about things that are really near and dear to my heart, but also maybe equally pissing me off too. Now, these segments are probably going to be sporadic. I'm only going to do them when, like, the mood is striking me or when, there's a topic worthy enough for debate and discussion. So, the first entry in this new segment I thought was perfect because it is really close to my heart and something that's actually been pissing me off for some time. So I just wanted to get all my research together and all my thoughts before I actually embarked on doing this video. So before I begin and before I explain, I think I want to make a minor note that I have probably every intention that this video is probably going to be broken up into two, possibly 3 parts, so just be aware of that as we get near the 10-minute timeline. So, without further ado, the first segment of Hot Topics, I'd like to talk about the Nick Rewind DVD collection that Nickelodeon embarked upon in 2005. Now, for those of you guys that aren't familiar, in May of 2005, Nickelodeon actually debuted a collection of DVDs harking back to their older television shows from the golden age of Nickelodeon. So within the first entry, the first 2 shows that were entered into this Nick Rewind collection to be sold on shelves store-wide were the first season of one of my favorite Nick shows, The Adventures of Pete and Pete. Now, this show was incredibly great, and, it was just odd and beautiful and bizarre, and, just everything was there to make it a really unique Nickelodeon show. Now, this season is only 8 episodes long, but they really gave it a lot. I mean, on this, there's special features, 4 bonus specials, Pete and Pete shorts, was because before this actually became a show, it was actually promos, and Nickelodeon got such good response from the commercial promos that they were having that they asked the creator of those promos to, create it into a completely full television show, which they did. So in addition to the shorts, you also get audio commentaries by, the 2 co-creators, the directors. You get, songs from the band that play the theme song from Pete and Pete, which is Polaris, and, just really great stuff. I mean, for an 8-episode, 1-season set, you get a lot of good stuff, and they really, treat the packaging really good. So, I mean, it was a no-brainer. The day this came out, I was there. So, on May 17th, 2005, in addition to this, not only was Pete and Pete Season 1 released, another fan favorite from kids that grew up in the 90s of Nickelodeon was the first season of Clarissa Explains It All. Now, this show was equally as good, and the special features on this are pretty good, too. I mean, you have the MTV Cribs episode of Melissa Joan Hart, a Nick time capsule from 91 to 93, and then, of course, all 13 episodes from the first season. And again, I mean, with such a small, small season, they really treated these DVDs really well. So I was really excited to see, further entries into this collection of more shows, and of course completing the seasons of the 2 shows that they had already entered. So, needless to say, in about 6 months later in November, the sales for at least Pete and Pete were doing well enough to warrant them a Season 2 release, which they did, and this was another solid release with even more audio commentaries from not only the co-creators, but the 2 brothers, Michael Morona and Danny Tamborelli, who played Pete and Pete, and there's just some really great, some of the best Pete and Pete episodes are on here, including the Halloween special, Halloweeny, and Grounded for Life. So this was another great thing. Now, when I did go and get this, I was really excited to pick this up, but I was also slightly curious as to why we weren't seeing the Season 2 release of Clarissa Explains It All. So right at that moment, that's when my interest started to, I started to raise some eyebrows as to why already in this new collection that was just recently announced, not 6 months ago, there was already speed bumps happening in it. So, after the release of Season 2 of Pete and Pete in 2000, was it 2008, or it was sometime after. It was about a few months later. I would say probably within a 4 to 6 month timeline of season 2 that there was already announcements for the third and final season of Pete and Pete. The final season, consisting of only 13 episodes, was released. I remember specifically, and I could bring up news reports on TV shows on DVD.com recording the release date, in addition to the cover art of this DVD release. Well, needless to say, that release, after several postponements with the third season of Pete and Pete and the recently announced Volume 1 release of You Can't Do That on Television, the postponements turned to infinite hiatus. So that pissed me off incredibly, because whatever their reasons were, which have never been made too clearly to the public, we never got the third season of Pete and Pete, consisting of 13 fucking episodes. What the hell was the matter with them? There was one season to go. Think about the people that were there each morning, the day that those 2 other releases came out, and then you screw them on the third season of 13 episodes? What the hell's the matter with you? And furthermore, on that same day, did you happen to notice that I didn't mention any more rumblings of further seasons of Clarissa Explains It All? Yeah, you heard right, because there was never any mention of other seasons of them ever again coming. So that double pissed me off, because Clarissa, as I stated before, was another fantastic Nickelodeon show that deserved a lot more better treatment for more season sets than they gave. So, as you can see, ever since the postponement of a season 3 of Pete and Pete, and the cancellation of Volume 1 of You Can't Do That on Television, there has never been any rumblings of this Nick Rewind collection ever continuing in stores ever again. Now, in 2008, Nickelodeon struck a deal with Amazon.com to create a burn-on-demand program. Burn on your ass, because what I think is that you're just cheaping out. Last time I checked, anybody that has 20/20 vision can fucking see that Viacom and their fat fucking wallet can definitely afford to put these shows in stores. They're just cheaping out and want to do it burn on demand because they don't have enough faith that these are going to sell well. Well, here's my opinion. The reason, if this is the reason that the sales were so poorly on Pete and Pete and Clarissa Explains It All, maybe you would have benefited by fucking advertising and promoting for them, because I can tell you right off the bat, I never saw commercials for them. The only reason I knew about them is because I'm a fucking nerd and I go on TV shows on DVD, as well as numerous other websites, daily to see what new releases are coming out. So the people that are hardcore about DVD and TV show on DVD collecting would have known about it. Your general consumer that grew up and loved these shows but may not be as, into researching every minute of the day when certain things are going to get released would have never known. There was no commercials, no nothing. So if you have anybody to blame, don't blame the sales. How are people supposed to buy them if they didn't fucking know? God damn it. So, as I was saying, in 2008, Nickelodeon created a deal with Amazon.com to create a burn-on-demand program, which is such shit. That is such a cheapskate move. But nonetheless, they came out with 3 animated, well, now 4. Currently, it's 4. They've come out with animated shows from the classic Nickelodeon vaults to be released on the Nick Rewind collection through Amazon.com. And the shows that have come out are the first 2 seasons of Doug, 2 best-of volumes of Rocko's Modern Life, the first 2 seasons of Hey Arnold, and just recently, I had no intention of buying these because, you know what I was thinking? I was like, burn on demand, if enough people buy them, they're just going to see that they can make a profit out of this, so there's going to be no reason, they're going to feel that there's no reason to dump all this money into, making package art and boxes and putting them in stores and taking the chance of them failing again. Well, let me tell you something, they would fucking fail if you didn't advertise them. But nonetheless, the last release that I had to get was just so big that, my collector's mentality really couldn't withstand itself, so I really just had to pick these up, and, for the price, I believe they were $32 each. I was a little weary going into it, but like I said, this show was just way, way too important for me to just wait around the bush for the fucking assholes at Viacom and Nickelodeon to get smart and officially release them. And those 2 releases, I'll show you guys in part 2 of my Hot Topics Classic Nick Rewind collection, because we're running out of time. I'll catch you at part 2. Thanks, guys.